Time being 6 o'clock, let's call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Clay Kelly. Everyone, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our first item on our agenda are public announcements. We're going to start with announcements from the Health Department. So, Chris, I will turn it over to you.
Just a couple quick things. First, I want to officially welcome our new hire. We have hired a assistant health coordinator, Eddie Murphy. He just started this week. So if you call the office and stop by, that's probably who you will be meeting. And it's not the comedian. I'm going to give you an update on West Nile virus. We just had an update from the state today. There have been 2 confirmed cases in mosquitoes, not in people. We've had no human cases of West Nile virus yet. 1 mosquito was in Brookline, 1 was in Worcester. So far, Plymouth County is West Nile virus and EEE free.
Well, I think, with the warmer weather and a lot of the amount of rain we're going to have, it's probably going to be a bumper crop.
ContraPest, and give everybody an update on our rat birth control initiative. We have the bait stations, we have the bait. We've started to collect a list of residents that are looking for stations. We are just waiting on a approval of a contract from legal, and we'll start rolling those out. And finally, our office was contacted recently by a scout of Troop 41 who has he has a Eagle project in mind that would benefit the health department. We've given him approval for that, but he did want to come before the board today to present it to the board since he was up. So I will turn it over to Mr. Connor.
All right. So
Take a seat if you want, Jeff.
Take a seat. Okay.
And say your name and address for the record. I'm going to make you do the whole thing.
All right. So my name is Joseph Cotter. I'm part of Troop 41. And my Eagle Scout project is I want to build a information kiosk at the compost site on Grove Street that's going to have a board in it that people can post like sheets in or posters that can say things like the opening and closing times of the compost site, what you can and can't bring there, and like what fees might be for certain things that you bring there. And I have some photos of a similar kiosk that I can pass around if you all want some examples.
Similar to like park. That's like park entry.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Here you go. And Aaron, do you want one?
I'll take one.
Yeah.
Nice. I think they're the same.
They're all the same.
Or Mr. Christian, I should say.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm planning on building it out of pressure-treated wood, and the bulletin board itself is going to have a screen that can be opened and closed, and you can lock it. And it's going to be built probably at my house and then driven over to the compost site to be put in by the building department because it's close to the road, so it would be safer if the building department put it in.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yep.
Really
you
cool.
said it was approved and
The health department approved it as the beneficiary. We approved the project. You met with the building inspector, correct?
Yeah.
And he approved the plans for it, and I think we have an assist from DPW with the actual installation.
as someone who has pulled into the compost site and pulled in with things that were not allowed until someone told me, this would have stopped me from pulling in. So it would have been very helpful.
Absolutely.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Is that the end? All right. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
just a,
Yeah.
You don't have to stick around if you don't want to. You can go.
Unless
Yes.
if you need this requirement for citizenship in the nation or community,
Community.
you have to attend a public meetings.
I think I already have this. Actually.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
All right, see you guys later.
Good job.
Are there any other questions for the health department? No. All right, moving on to our second action items. First one being to complete a review of the model regulations for private wells. So I believe we got through section 10 last time. Well, we did get through section 10. Just wrapping that up all the way through. There are, looking at the attached, additional subjects for regulatory consideration. There are nothing listed for the remaining sections, so there's nothing additional that is suggested for adding.
Okay.
That's good. So everything else, I believe, is relatively standard or similar to our current regulations. These would be up to the board if we want to go through one by one, or just approve the rest as written to go to town council.
So 11,
11 through
12,
the end, so
13, 14, 15,
17,
18.
18. So 11 through 18.
Yeah.
And you confirm that there's no significant difference between what's written here and what we currently have.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I did look through it, but
Me too, but it's like I wouldn't know
Yeah,
what.
nothing
needed to
caught my
add.
eye as being wildly different. Obviously, the effective date, we would just have to wait until we would vote on it to make that work.
I think just like everything else, it's just written easier to understand. So
This is definitely just the boilerplate, how we would handle, hearings, appeals, enforcement. I mean,
any variances, yeah.
was Health Department, do you have anything pertinent to these sections you want to mention?
Yeah, no, right. And I've never had to have a hearing or anything in the time I've been here. So.
You about have 5, you know that, right?
with that, I'll make a motion to approve sections 11 through 18 as written on the new regulation, water, private well regulations.
Motion by Kevin to approve as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Amanda. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so those are now complete. We'll send them off to town council, and when we come back, we can hold public hearing and all that regular roll.
Great.
And as we see with tobacco, it takes a minute, so that will get back when it gets back. All right, moving on. Discussion on banning the sale of alcoholic beverages in containers less than or equal to 100 milliliters, otherwise known as the nip bottle ban. Every single person should have a copy of 4 different communities' current regulations or bylaws prohibiting nip bottles, just to start with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's okay. So I was one that asked for this. It's interesting. Like, I love the idea, but are we too early? So my concern is when you're looking at, Chelsea says their improvement of their downtown, they're seeing less drunk and disorderly, they're seeing all these things, but you're also seeing Everett and other towns are seeing like a double-digit uptick of nip sales because people are just going next door. Particularly, here it's like, okay, I can't get it at Rosie, let's go to Luke's. So I think given that, and you look at like the other ones, you've got Mashpee, Wareham, communities that are closer, or an entire island like Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. And so I love the idea. The state house is also looking to do a statewide deposit program where it's going to be a bigger incentive to not litter as much, because now you're getting money back from what you just purchased, which I think is one of the biggest concerns, is the littering and non-recyclability of them. So I'm honestly kind of wish-washy of, I don't know, I feel like a ban is just, I love the idea, but I don't know if it's worthwhile yet until all these other groups are talking about it, but a lot of them have also turned it down because now they're waiting for the state to decide if there is going to be a deposit or if there's going to be some other changes at the state level. Rhode Island's looking to ban it completely across the state. They're also about like this big, so that makes sense. But I think at a municipality level, I don't know if it benefits us as much as we think. And that hurt me to come to that realization because I love the idea, but I also think it makes sense from that standpoint to hold off. But is there a way that we put weight behind the state resolution? Do we do something a little bit more? I'm not, is there a way that we could make our own incentives where we have station somewhere where you return them, or if you find them or collect them. I don't know. I feel like that is probably a better option than just completely banning them.
I think
But
the ban is something that works. I think a deposit is kind of really a folly attempt to kind of get people to return them, because I think the whole idea of a nip is they buy something small and they do it right away and then throw it out, so there's no evidence in that.
right.
Not that I've done that, but to me, it's like, I think for the most part, or it's young kids probably who are drinking, probably not in an area where they're gonna like basically take them in a bag and bring them home.
Right.
So I do think, I just think it's like a ban would be the direction that I think you'd want to go in, rather than kind of just trying to nip around the edges, in no pun intended. I didn't mean that at all, but like going around the edges of the of the situation, because I just know I live on the pond down behind the Folio. It is unbelievable, like literally like water. Like when we have a big storm like we just have, you'll have like 7 or 8 nip bottles will come up, on this ground. So it is unbelievable. I mean, it is a problem. I mean, it is something, litter-wise. I think a ban would be the best direction. I think the question is whether it is too early. I mean, are other towns going to get around this and do the same thing that we're talking about too? I think
quite a few. Yeah.
And you don't want to put your establishments, in an unfair competitive advantage either. So I know, what do we have? 2 liquor stores. We have Abington Liquors and Roversies, or is there a third?
5.
Yeah, police.
Yeah, I mean, does that include? I mean, what is Tricky's does this help?
No.
But I don't know if things like that where they.
No, I think that the only 2 places. I don't know. There might be. Is there one?
Billy's Liquor is a 21 establishment. Rosie's, Abington Liquor.
Why am I thinking of another one?
I think there is somebody else, but I can't think of them either.
Is there one up on North Quincy Street or something?
Yes, JD Variety.
Okay.
Yep. So 4. I thought there was 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Amanda, I think I agree with you here, almost 100%. That I don't know if it's something that we doing here is as effective as a statewide ban.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
or like if Boston finally chose to do it, or like something that
yes.
You look at it and it's like, cool, like these, let's be honest, these rich towns chose to do it. And how many liquor stores, I think.
Or if you had, if you talk to other, 4 or 5 other communities in the surrounding area wanted to do it, together.
That's what I was thinking.
Right. Like, is it like more, I think, a bigger collective? Because also when it comes to litter, I live behind, I call it like the coffee corner. So you've got Mary Lou's, Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, all that over there. The amount of trash just from those establishments, the paper bags, the napkins, things like that, all the plastic straws and cups, those also end up near me. So, if there was a liquor store within a couple blocks, it would be a different kind of litter. But there's still litter from quick go places anyways. So I feel like this is kind of I want to consider it, but I kind of want to see there's a lot of other towns that have either talked about it and it's been put to the side, or they're about to enact it in 2023, 2024. Do we just wait a little bit? It sounds awful, but
And I think with a lot of these things too, we are such a small community in the sense that going right next door is not that far.
That's what I mean. It actually is easier for me to go to Luke's than it is other towns, because
if we
where
were
I am.
2-3 times the size, it might be a little bit more effective.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you. 1.5 miles down the road, you can go to Luke's.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah.
And I do think, if you have, something like a consortium of several different towns kind of doing it at the same time, that might make sense. But also, I do feel there's momentum building first, probably something to happen.
Right. I don't think we need to be in the first 1/8 of towns, but I'd like to be in the first quarter of towns, if that makes sense. I want to be towards the beginning, but I think now it doesn't make sense. I'm also looking at, the plastic bag ban of most municipalities have them now, but it's still not statewide, so there's still a little bit of confusion. And there's this talk of, do they do that statewide? It's just doing it because we are so small and it's so congested. It works, but sort of and not really at the same time. And by making each municipality different, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if there's a way to just throw our weight behind something else to do it at a bigger level,
and to
or
your
like you
point
said, like
with
do like
the,
a collaboration of some kind.
Like with the plastic bag ban, I mean, I know occasionally we still run into enforcement issues there because it's like, a company will get the wrong plastic bags in and they'll throw them out and keep doing them.
Right.
And it's still got its issues where if it was a statewide thing, a large chain would know they can't send bags to Massachusetts.
Right. So yeah, I think, or if we just wait a little bit and, maybe this fall there's other towns that are considering it and we're like, hey, we've discussed this. It's on the record that we've discussed this. We want to do this, but we decided to hold off for a little bit. We're going to do it along with you as well. What if all 5 of us do it? I'd be curious, like you said, like kind of more create a larger community effort, and then all becomes, wow, all of us Southeastern Mass has, love the idea, but does it achieve what we want? Initially, I don't think so. I think it's just going to cause
People go off sweat.
How can we initiate a conversation with the other boards of health in the Tri-Town?
I don't know about the Tri-Town, but I was going to say I can bring this to the Public Health Excellence Group that we're involved in, which is Whitman, Avon, Stoughton, Brockton, and us.
That's all 3. Those are very large communities
Yeah,
that would
Brockton
make a big.
Pretty big.
Yeah, like Bridgewater, one of the Bridgewaters, or is it just Bridgewater? I don't know. One of them looked at doing it, but it was knocked down pretty unanimously. They decided not to for the same things, is that people could just go right over. It's not like they were that spread out. So I think it needs to be either larger collaborative groups or larger communities that have more weight behind it before we move forward. Us doing it doesn't change much. It shows this is what we care for, but at the same point, it starts to just become like virtue signaling.
I think
That
I
sounded
would be
like-
totally in favor. I think I'm for it. I want Abington to be in the forerunners of this movement. I agree that I don't want everyone to just go to the neighboring town, but then like in respect to what Kevin said earlier, if people are having those nips, which they're all doing, having it in the car, taking their shot before they go on the road, I mean, then those nip bottles are going to end up in the surrounding towns, and less of them are going to end up in Abington. So maybe it might make those surrounding towns be more likely to jump on board with us.
I do think obviously, it sounds like for the board as a whole, we do find it as a nuisance issue from the
For
trash
sure. It's a public health thing. People are driving and having alcohol, and
I'd be curious, like I wonder, can I ask the 4 liquor stores like what their
I've called them before.
what their sales are,
I've spoken to them.
and they'll give you like the sale, like how much
Not the
the
sales,
percentage.
it's
I'd be
kind
curious
of
like
what
what their
their-
percentages are.
Yeah.
If it's 30-40% and we're just taking it away from them, it starts to be that's
They were
part of
all
the
really
discussion
nice
too.
and were willing to chat with me about it, which I thought was great.
But like, can we ask like as
we
a
can even invite them here and have a conversation with them.
Okay,
do that.
I think I'd like to do that too, just to understand, like, because they still technically are small business owners. Like they, I'd like to understand how much of this have you seen it from other, because I know like the there's like a couple coalitions that have put out papers about it and stuff, and I'm curious if they're aware of it or seen it or whatever. So if that's something we can do, probably not maybe the August one. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
maybe we wait till the fall. Maybe
Yeah.
some things happen over the summer. I know Boston was just in the news in May about talking about doing this. So
yes, but the city.
they've been kicking back and forth for a while.
Yeah, they haven't. I don't think it ever got presented, unfortunately.
Right.
But
and plus it's really hot in here, so it might be nice if it was a little cooler. For
Yeah.
people in the room.
Yeah, this won't be fixed by
no,
September?
but I'd like to see that just to kind of like I want to make sure that we kind of talk to everyone that would be involved
I think that's
before we just
smart.
move forward. Because I want to make sure that like if the decision is made, it's we chatted with everybody. This is what we looked at. Here's the different actors in the cause kind of thing.
And even if you look at all of the town regulations that are in here, I think every single one of them, except one of them that's a city, says annual town meeting approved.
Yeah.
So I would personally like to see us present it to town meeting in the long run if we are going to do it, because this is probably something that I think the community would appreciate, have a little bit more of a say on.
Same.
So maybe if we can do our homework on it and by having that conversation, that might be a better way to go about it.
Well, you can put an article in, what is it, January, when the warrant closes, and then if you feel you're not ready, you can always withdraw it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I like that idea. So that's why I wanted to just more of like, what are our options of trying to understand, you know, what we can and can't do, and you know how everyone else felt like. Cool. Thank you.
And I will send a link to this video to the resident that was talking about this as well. And if he's got information he might want to share with us, that might be nice.
Yeah. Yes. If we can include, he a lot of what he shared, I've come across my research too. So
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of these are duplicates from there as well.
Yeah.
But I will share that with him. He emailed me not too long ago asking. So.
Okay.
Great. Anything else on this? Okay.
The motion table.
It was just a discussion.
Exactly. All right, let's do. All right, so next item is vote on to approve the minutes of June 26th. Those are attached here.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 26th.
Motion to approve by Kevin.
Second.
By Katie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so
Abstain.
yeah, it's 2-0-3. I don't know if that passes.
I think it's the ones we it's 2-2.
Yeah. All right.
Might have to bring it up again.
Okay, so we can bring this up when there's more
Sorry.
people here that were at that meeting. All right.
If there was only one, if you had to leave, then you could be 2-1, right?
Right. All right. So we'll bring that up when Clay comes back. Okay. Next is public comment. There's no public comment. We'll move past that. Correspondence. Does the board of the health department have any correspondence to share?
I'll just mention that we have gotten a number of calls recently about housing complaints, tenants calling because they feel that their
Tenants.
that their apartments don't meet the minimum standards of the state. While we're not always in a position to do something, we will absolutely investigate any complaints, and I really want to appeal to residents if they think that they are in substandard conditions to please call. The last 3 inspections I've gone out and done when I've had these conversations with the occupants, they've been suffering in these conditions for sometimes years because they felt they had no recourse, and there is recourse. So if you think something's going on, if you have issues and your landlord has refused to address them, please call the health department. It doesn't cost anything for me to come out and do an investigation. I'm happy to do it.
Chris, is there like one landlord, or is it just across the board different?
Sorry?
Is there like one landlord that potentially could be in trouble, or is it like across the board?
It's across the board. And sometimes it's it's tenant issues. It's not always the landlord.
There's 2 sides to every story, right?
Yep, but it's absolutely worth it. And sometimes they go out and do an investigation and there's nothing to come of it. But, I would rather waste an hour going out and making somebody feel better and know that they're safe. So,
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Kevin.
Second.
Second by Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.